Shalom, peace to you, and welcome to Secrets Revealed, the Holy Bible. Today we're looking at a very big chapter. It's Numbers chapter 5. There are 31 verses in this chapter. The title of this video will be The Trial of Bitter Water of a Wife or Woman Suspected of Adultery. Long title, but I think we'll choose The Trial of Bitter Water of a wife or woman suspected of adultery. Okay, we're going to have to find a way to shorten that title. There's a book from the faith, this faith that looks at this book here. It says that a woman accused of adultery needs at least 4 witnesses. Okay, so that's that perspective. But what does the Septuagint say? What does the word of Yah say? So let's look at this. Beginning in verse 2, we see an omission of the reins. Reins was translated as kidneys, and Webster translates reins as kidneys. So we know that Yah tries the reins or the heart. So it could be all blood vessels, these reins. It could also be anything with exudate from vessels, such as blood vessels or the lymphatic system, even pus or anything with an issue, which is bodily fluids. Okay, verse 6, we see here common to man, sin common to man, versus that men commit, any sin that men commit. Okay, so we see there's a difference there. Neglected the commandment, if they neglected the commandment, versus trespassed against Yah. So we see one is neglect and one is clearly rebellion. Okay, moving on, we see the next difference here is an omission in verse 7. Pay the principal. He shall pay the principal, make restoration, versus give to him. So you're not just giving it to him. He's not just being given anything. It's specifically the principle he's being given in order to make restoration. That's the purpose. That's the rationale. Verse 9, first fruits versus offering, and an omission of whatsoever they shall offer to Yah. Okay. Verse 12, transgress against him, and slight and despise him, versus go aside and commit a trespass against him. Now, these are pretty significant differences, and I think they're pretty straightforward. So I'm not going to explore those. You just read those for yourselves and come to your conclusions. They're pretty straightforward. I don't think they need any more explanation than just what is being presented there. Verse 13, and she should conceal it. So is the wife who's sus, as they say nowadays, sus, versus be kept close. So close to her, like a secret, or kept closed. Maybe she just is not speaking. So, and then we see no witness with her versus a witness against her. So that's a pretty significant difference. One is saying she has no witness, and one is a witness that is clearly against her. So the witness could be in favor of her, but the Masoretic says only against her. So if she has a witness, perhaps the witness could provide some supporting evidence that no, she's innocent. But anyway, the Masoretic is implying no, it's only the devil's advocate. It's someone who's prosecuting her, persecuting her. Either way, the Septuagint says a witness, which is a witness, neither good or bad, simply someone who can testify on behalf of the situation and then provide evidence. Evidence Um, and we know that every matter should be established by at least two witnesses. That's a memory verse. I didn't look it up in the Septuagint yet, so hopefully it still stands. Continuous difference. Actually, you know what? I'm going to look it up right now. I don't want to look like a fool. Okay, drum roll, please. Let's hope it says the same thing. One witness, if I can read it, one witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin, and any sin that he sins at the mouth of two witnesses or at the mouth of three witnesses shall the matter be established. Okay. One witness shall not stand to testify against a man for any iniquity or for any fault or for any sin which he may commit. By the mouth of two witnesses or by the mouth of three witnesses shall every word be established. So it's not just in a matter, it's every word. So it's not just the case, it's actually every piece of evidence. So that's interesting. So I'm relieved that is so. So let's continue on here. Continuous difference in verse 16. The wife suspected of adultery stand before Yah versus set her before Yah, which could be on her knees or some demeaning position, but she's to stand like in a trial to present herself. And this is treating her with respect and dignity, not setting her before like a slave or some kind of, less than a man. Okay. Verse 17, pure running water. So this is living water and it's not polluted versus holy water, which is a kind of Catholic term. So this is not like the Catholic holy water. This has been prayed over uh, in a false, non-Torah based, non-biblical ritual. That's the Catholic holy water that I described. So that is just not so. There's no such thing as set apart water. It is pure running water. Okay, living water. Moving on. Verse 18, this verse proves women that were in the culture of Torah in that time and even in today who really want to follow what Yah wants were wearing head coverings, specifically women who were known to be married. So note that this is not a single woman. This is not a woman uh, who is not betrothed. She is either betrothed or married. So that's why it says you will uncover the head of the woman in both versions. And the continuous difference here is that the water of this conviction that brings the curse in the Septuagint versus the bitter water that causes the curse. Okay, so what's the difference here? It isn't bitter. It's not bitter water because it came from, as we read in verse 17, pure running water. It didn't come from vinegar. And then this pure water was also mixed with dust from the tabernacle, as well as possibly oil and barley, but that could be a separate offering. It's not to be mixed with the water to be consumed by the woman. So it says here, so that's an important point. It isn't bitter water. It isn't bitter at all. Verse 19, adjure, the word adjure can mean to command solemnly, respectfully, in any case, not forcefully or disrespectfully. Uh, so as to be polluted. So that's another difference here. By fornication, adultery, this is related to sexual sin and no other, versus to uncleanness. To uncleanness. Okay, so that's a distinction there. So this is a broad and vague term, uncleanness. This is related to sexual sin and no other, again, but it's more broad and vague, whereas to be polluted is usually associated with sexual sin, fornication, or adultery. That's just part of that culture of that time. And then the next difference is being under the power. the authority or protection of your husband versus instead of your husband. So one is saying to the woman, you may or may not have done this, but this focuses more on the innocence aspect as it builds on whether she did not do this, perhaps. She, the woman, still being under the power slash protection of her husband, whereas the Masoretic is more pessimistic in tone. It's more pessimistic and focuses on whether she did commit harlotry and gone aside to uncleanness instead of, your husband is actually not just instead. So instead of saying of your husband is actually not just redundant when it says that instead of your husband, the wording instead of your husband. Let me just rewind. Okay, let's just start over from instead of your husband. Okay, let me put that in quotations. So instead of your husband, the way that's worded, not only is that redundant, but I feel this is disrespectful and accusatory when it already stated, if no man have lain with you, it doesn't have to say instead of your husband, since that is already understood and established in the very same verse. Okay, let's just read the verse just to clear it up. And the priest shall charge her by an oath in the Masoretic and say to the woman, if no man have lain with you, and if you have not gone aside to uncleanness instead of your husband, be you free from this bitter water that causes the curse. So we can see that's a redundancy. If no man has slept with you, has lain with you, and you have not gone aside, it's the same thing. Let's look at the Septuagint. The priest shall adjure her. Again, adjure uh, is a term meaning to command respectfully, solemnly, and shall say to the woman respectfully, if no one has lain with you, and you have not transgressed so as to be polluted, and there's many ways you can be polluted, but again, fornication, adultery, sexual sin, and maybe other things as well. But anyway, moving on, being under the power of your husband, his authority, his protection, be free from this water. See, can you gather the, can you feel that vibe of this verse? It's very positive. It's stressing the innocence of the woman instead of charging her with guilt right away. You're innocent till proven guilty. So he's saying, be free from this water of the conviction that causes the curse. It's also saying that, to be fair, it's saying that in the Masoretic as well, be you free. But I do feel it is a little more, it is more accusatory in the Masoretic, where it says, you have gone aside to uncleanness instead of your husband, instead of saying being under the power of your husband. Okay, next. Let's move on. Like I said, it is pessimistic and redundant. It doesn't have to say that in the very same verse. Okay, verse 20. So being a married woman, but if being a married woman versus have gone aside, but if you have gone aside to another instead uh, of your husband, and if you be defiled, so anyone, um, I don't know where I got the word anyone, to another, and if you be defiled and some man have lain with you. So it could be another woman or even an animal. Okay, let's just look at this. To another, gone aside. I mean, to another was added, but it does say some man. So it does specify that, just to be fair. Uh, so it does say some man in the mas and the sept. It does say, and anyone has lain with you. So that could be anything. Yeah, that's true. It could be anything. It leaves it open to different sexual sins. It doesn't have to be a man. It could be all different kinds of sexual abominations. So just because she cheated on her husband and it's not a man doesn't mean it's okay. No, it doesn't allow that loophole. It doesn't allow that uh, exception. There is no exception. Sexual sin is sexual sin. Period. Okay, moving on. Verse 21. Yah bring you into a curse. versus Yah make you a curse. Oh, that is so harsh. And continuing on, let's just read the rest. Yah make you a curse and an oath among your people. Okay. When Yah does make your thigh to rot and your belly to swell. The Sept is saying, Yah bring you into a curse and under an oath in the midst of your people. So she's going to be in a curse and under it, not become a curse and an oath. It doesn't make sense. You can't be something that is conceptual. You are a physical being. She can't be those things. She will enter those things and will be under one. So that makes more sense in the Septuagint. Verse 22, shall enter into your womb versus into your bowels. So we can see the difference here. The womb is clearly the uterus, your reproductive system. The Masoretic is saying it's our digestive system. And we know that's wrong because babies do not form in the intestines. Verse 24, add, we have an addition, and become bitter. So the waters do not become bitter. They're just waters with dust in it. They are not bitter. And I'm going to omit verse 25. It's not a big difference. Verse 26, offer it versus burn it. This is the barley and oil being offered. Notice you cannot offer it and then burn it, since it has been offered. It is done. It is finished. That is why the Sept correctly says present it and then offer it. There is a logical and orderly sequence of events. Okay. And moving on, verse 27, escaped the notice of her husband. If she be defiled and escaped the notice of her husband, that's the context, versus have done trespass against her husband, be for a curse. Okay, I can't find that part. It says here, have done trespass against her husband. So one is blatant, just rebelling against her husband, and one is where it escapes his attention. He did not observe it. Okay, so that it's more open to different situations, that she could trespass against her husband, or simply he just did not notice it because she concealed it. There's so many different scenarios here. And then we see B for a curse. That's at the end of the verse. And the woman shall be for a curse. So to be frank and be transparent, it does say she can be for a curse. So I did say earlier she can be a curse. Well, it says here she shall be for a curse. Maybe she's not a curse, but she will be like a sign, a representative of an example of someone who was cursed. Before a curse, which is different than being a curse. So my interpretation of this verse is she will enter into a curse. So she will be for a curse. So if someone is set apart for an offering, they become offered, and she will be cursed, entering into that curse. Or if someone takes an oath, they enter into a covenant. So that's the way I see that verse. And the last verse we're looking at, very heavy topic, but we can see the differences here. The water is not bitter. Verse 28, guiltless versus free. So guiltless means that she was proven to be innocent. Free means, okay, she's free, but still her reputation is stained. And she was not fully pardoned, neither was proven innocent. Okay, she's free. So what? No, it's better that she was guiltless. Her innocence was proven, and you know what, she was treated with dignity, as we saw in the Septuagint. She's treated with more dignity and respect, and this is due process, and this was done publicly as well, so people would realize, okay, you know what, this woman has integrity. She was somewhat humiliated. I'm not going to say it's not embarrassing, because it is something of a public spectacle. However, Yah is the judge, and when she drinks that pure water, the pure living water that was described, not holy water, again, pure running water with mixed with dust, it would prove whether she's guilty or innocent. And when she passes the test, people can no longer, I don't think they should say anything evil about her, because Yah just proved she's innocent. So now her name is cleared, her husband's name is cleared, and that debacle is now in the past, and you can move forward. So that man shall be clear from sin, and the woman too. Oh, hold on. Let's just look. Let's look at the last few verses. In the case of a man, whomsoever the spirit of jealousy should come, he should be jealous of his wife, and he should place his wife before Yah, and the priest shall execute toward her all this law. Then the man shall be clear from sin, and that woman shall bear her sin. Okay. Okay, there's no difference here, but I'm trying to conclude this chapter to say that, yeah, she was, uh, this is the law regarding this suspicion of adultery. And when she is clearly innocent, when she has been proven to be innocent, she shall be guiltless, and she shall conceive seed or children, babies. So notice it doesn't say that the man will be guiltless, because he's not the one under trial. He's just going to be clear, because that's sin not only against him and against the woman, it's against their marriage, because they become one body. So they're both clear from sin. So he's actually clear from sin as well, just by being married to her. So that's all I have to present for this chapter. It's a very heavy topic, but I'm glad that the Septuagint is so simple to understand and presented it very beautifully. And I thank you very much for your time. May your Father, Yah, bless you and make your way prosperous. Tune in next time when we look at Numbers chapter 6. And thank you again. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You've been watching Secrets Revealed, the Holy Bible. Shalom and peace be with you.